Look, the conversation is important, but it's difficult to rationalize and justify, especially in a situation where you have to look at it very, you have to be very. Okay, you got to be a little diplomatic about the whole thing, just like I'm being diplomatic with my nephew with the television. It's not as simple, though it can be simple. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I want to talk to you about the gender wage gap. It's quite the topic. Yeah, I'm not going to really primarily focus on the topic in general, but I'm going to talk about it as a producer, or rather looking at it from a film industry perspective. And one of the most prominent figures who came out recently talking, well, not recently, but it's been out there and he's voiced his opinions very publicly, and that's Benedict Cumberbatch. You might know him as Doctor Strange. Like his character, like him as an actor as well, I wish him all the success and everything. So he came out and talked about the gender wage gap, and he's specifically stated that, hey, he's only going to accept a role if his female co-star is also going to be given the same paycheck as him. So equal pay for equal work, basically. So he's been a very public advocate for the gender wage gap and everything. And of course, it's no secret that we have situations out there that women have primarily been subject to a lot of discrimination when it comes to that aspect particularly.
And so women are much unhappier if you look at national polls than they were, say, in the late 1950s and early 1960s.
But at the same time, it's also been a subject of great debate, and a lot of people such as Jordan Peterson as well, he has voiced his opinions, If you look him up, and a lot of the debates that he's had and objections to some of the problems that, he's found, particularly with the whole gender wage gap problem, and the women's soccer team saying that they earn a lot less than the U.S. men's soccer team. I understand that there's a lot of debates out there. There's a lot of different views about it, varying views about where it's relevant and where it's not relevant. I mean, if you look at it from that aspect of women's soccer team, they've won how many World Cups? I don't know. They've won a World Cup already. If you look at their stats, they probably have more accolades than the men's soccer team. But if you look at it from a commercial aspect, the men's soccer team brings in more money, or rather the revenue that's generated through the league where male are concerned, there's more revenue being generated there, so therefore you have a lot more of a budget to play with, you have better figures to play with than with the women's football league. It has to do with that. A person could argue whatever they want to argue, but really it has to do with revenue generation. So look at it from any industrial aspect. Looking at it as a film producer. So I've got two actors with me, a lead actor who happens to be a male and a female lead actor. And I'm going to cast Benedict, and he says, well, he's only going to take this role if his female co-star is going to take the same pay scale, or the same equal amount of the paycheck that he's taking. So what do I say to that? So here's my thing. Do I have a problem with giving a female actor, actress, or anyone for that matter who happens to be a female, to make sure that they get their fair share of the paycheck? Absolutely not. I have no problems with that whatsoever. However, I just have a problem with the situation when you sort of address a very unevenly saturated problem.
It is true that the information the gender pay gap reveals is limited,
Or issue, when we speak about it as if it rings true in every situation, because it doesn't necessarily ring true in every situation. I mean, you can do your own research about it, you can listen to both sides of the debate, but to kind of cut it short, in a situation like that where I'm a film producer and you have a specific amount of money and a budget, and you need to look for a lead actor, it needs to be somebody who's prominent, somebody who's going to bring in the viewership, because it does count. Who you hire does count. The face does count. In a situation like that, would I agree to that? Would I give in to his demands that he's only going to take the role if his female co-star gets the same kind of paycheck? I will only agree with a situation like that if the female co-star happens to bring in the same amount of influence and experience on the talking table. That happens to be a fact that we can't ignore. All right, look, that's part of the conversation that we can't ignore, over the fact that even with actors as well, actors don't necessarily have the same prominence when it comes to do they attract the viewership in terms of their experience, the number of films that they've starred in. You grow from paycheck to paycheck, you build up, but that's, as I'm saying, is true in every regard. So if I was to get a female co-star who has less experience, and probably maybe someone who was particularly new in the industry and doesn't necessarily bring the same amount of influence, or rather doesn't have the same amount of the demand that the female co-star brings, is not at the same level as him, I would disagree to that. I would definitely disagree. That's where it becomes a problem. If you look at a situation like, for instance, the film Fences, where Denzel Washington starred alongside Viola Davis, then I would totally agree with that kind of situation. Viola Davis has immense experience, and the presence that she brought, the performance that she brought to the film was immensely felt, and she definitely brought the same kind of influence and level of influence, and I feel like they have the same kind of demand, I think. And when we sit on the talking table and we're like talking about this, are we going to give them same equal pay regardless of the demand that they bring? Because you might find that she might have been discriminated on in previous films, and maybe the amount of money that she's been making, or what her agent, who sort of negotiates on her behalf, negotiated a rate that was particularly low. Maybe it was below $5 million, and Denzel Washington was maybe made $10 million as an actor, because he also directed the film. So what of that kind of situation? You understand what I'm saying? So yes, black females, black women particularly, are really underpaid in the industry. But in that kind of situation, I would say I would agree with Benedict, because I feel like give actors where it's due. Give people who have something to contribute on the talking table, who have earned their stripes. Yes, fair wage gap, equal pay, when you have something to bring, but not in every situation or instance whereby I should just pay an actor a certain amount of money on the basis of them being female, to be politically correct about some feminist argument out there. It's noble, I understand it, and I agree, and I like his endeavors, I like his philanthropy. I think at the same time we need to be discreet about how we apply some of these philosophies, or rather some of these ideas. And as a producer, you have to understand that it's a business. When we negotiate with actors, we have to look at what's their paycheck. Someone as influential as Denzel, or someone as influential as John Carney, you all know him as the king of Wakanda, So if he wants $10 million US for his role, or rands, for instance, maybe he wants 2 million rands in South African films, or rather, or $1 million for a role that he has to portray. Standard decent budget would be like a 10 million rand movie. So he's got like 10% already of the budget, which is $1 million, because he's an actor in demand. Then we've got we've got 9 million rand to look at all these other different roles, in terms of the production team, in terms of the staff, in terms of the marketing, in terms of every single line item that has to be accounted for. So he's taking the big check. Now we need another female actress. I have to sit there and kind of look at, okay, how much money do we have left in terms of our talent, in terms of our actors? We obviously can't afford another $1 million for a female co-star. But at the same time, we have to look at, if she's going to get the same amount of screen time as the lead, it's still a lead role, but is she getting the same amount of screen time as well? Then I have to make decisions on the basis of what's the budget. We need to get an actor who maybe might not necessarily have as much experience, but has some experience, enough to fit the amount of money we can allocate to that specific role. Or we get someone who's experienced, but we don't have $1 million, or we don't have, if it's a big budget film, Hollywood, for instance, it's not going to be 10 million rand for the male lead actor if the male lead actor If the script centers around the male actor, the female actor probably will have to cut their screen time because you're not going to get the same amount of screen time as the male actor. Or let's reverse the roles and say, fine, if the script and the story centers around the lead actor being the female, she gets a $10 million or the big paycheck, and we have to look at the male on the other aspect. Same principle has to apply. We have to negotiate in terms of the screen time. We have to negotiate also on the basis of, look, this is what we've got, man. Hook your brother up, man. You know what I'm saying. Come on, man. We don't have as much money. Our budgets are low a little bit. This is what we've got. We're gonna pay him half of what we're paying our lead actor. Might agree if you have a good relationship with him, or might disagree, or you have to look at it from a point where we have to cut his screen time. And in situations like that, you find actors sometimes agreeing to a part on the basis of, we hope that the film will also be well driven by their screen presence, in as much as it might not be as much, but we have to negotiate a much lower rate. So in any case, it's a tricky subject, it's a tricky situation. Hence, I'm saying I kind of agree with him in a way, but at the same time, in terms of how you apply it and implement it across the border might be different. I don't think it's the same in every situation. This whole gender wage gap debate, it's, as I said, it's controversial in the sense that it's not an evenly saturated topic. I mean, it applies the same way with men as well. Companies have kind of ripped me off where they don't really pay me the same amount of money where they will pay somebody else. Or someone was maybe will look different, someone was white typically. It's been a hassle like that for many years. I think for a lot of women, they might be experiencing this newly because industry is open for everybody. But you're gonna learn that these are some of the battles that a lot of us have been battling, or it's been like that for a long time. So it's not a female-oriented issue, it's a pocket politics issue. Sometimes you need to get good at negotiations. Sometimes you need to get good at marketing yourself as well. It has to do with a lot of things. Even males get discriminated on depending on how they come across, or depending on how you value yourself and market yourself. I've seen some guys, even myself, or I've seen a lot of males being discriminated on because of the way that they negotiate. They undervalue themselves. So it's not always about gender. As I said, pocket politics, that's just what it is. But thanks for watching. That's what I think. I hope you guys like the video. Do like the video, leave a comment, do subscribe, hit the notification bell to support this channel, to support my endeavor. Hope you guys learn something. Do leave a comment and tell me what you guys think about it. Do tell me what you think. I'd like to hear your view about the matter. Alright, thanks and God bless.